tonight on Code 20. Alrighty, we're rolling up on something that's fairly rare. This is going to be a confirmed high-rise fire at the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel is pretty well known because of... Come on, Gabe.
Above 5410. I'm going to go ahead and give you...
The Cecil Hotel, which is right here, we're going to be rolling up in a second, is very well known. There was a Netflix documentary that came out a while back about a woman who was found in the water tank on the roof. A lot of mystery surrounding that whole situation. To this day, they don't really know. Contents fire only. 536 sounds like an electric scooter and or a contents fire. I'd still shoot it though. Yeah, if it's a lithium battery fire, that could be a problem. But yeah, I'd still shoot it just because of the location. Alrighty. Gabe's already rolling up right now. We're going to be getting out in a couple seconds. But yeah, the building is just surrounded in, I don't want to say controversy, but kind of. Yeah, possible lithium battery. Quite a bit of weirdness surrounding the building. Okay, now they're saying no extensions.
Handling 7th floor. Engine 10, I'm going to go ahead and redirect you.
7th floor.
Then Rosalina. Rescue 94, Star 1, Roger.
423, good evening. Copy. Yeah, definitely an interesting spot. Gabe's going to take primary on this, but we're going to jump out and see if we can get any more information. But yeah, if it's a lithium battery fire...
You have a scooter battery?
Yeah, scooter battery.
I'd like to go ahead and relieve you a command, have you join your crew. Why don't you give me a rundown of where the companies are you've placed?
Scooter battery on fire on the 7th floor.
I got code 9 in the lobby, engine 9, go 9 on the fire floor, division 6, 5410 taking over them. And engine 10 is now coming up. They're going to redirect to check the floor below.
All right, let's check it out. All right, now they're saying the scooter wasn't involved. It's just a contents fire.
Ion battery scooter involved, contents only. You can't say that.
They had a special response coming because they were thinking it was a lithium battery, which causes a whole nother slew of issues for the firefighters, of course. Hey,
I was just thanked for my traffic services.
you moving cones?
Yeah.
All right. So they're saying it was possibly a lithium battery fire in a scooter.
So a stolen scooter in the hotel.
That was what they were thinking originally. They got eyes on it, and they're seeing that the scooter was not affected. It was just a contents fire on the 7th floor. But it looks like we do have evacuations, so I would still send it in. We'll take a walk. I'll be right back. The Cecil Hotel has become, ever since that story we were talking about in the car, it's become a really interesting part of LA history at this point. I highly recommend watching the documentary if you haven't seen it yet. But here it is. Here's the building. You can see we've got the ladder up. Truck 10 is going up to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th floor, and the fire is reported on the 7th. All sorts of stuff going on over here. There's constantly calls at this location. Four 7-7, say again, I'm sorry. Again, a lot of weird stuff with this building. Some people are saying that it's haunted. I've seen a couple videos from inside with some weird things going on for sure. Not great energy, but the story with the girl in the tank, in the water tank, super bizarre. I can't recommend it enough. Gabe's gonna handle this one. Alex, if you haven't already, let's take a look at his footage and we'll be on to the next one. If you can see, you might be able to see it because the fog layer.
One-story roll commercial. It's going to be confined to this one unit motorcycle shop.
Oh.
Your corrected address is going to be 1458.
Motorcycle shop on fire. That's not good. Very sad. Great. Yeah. And the radio is always cut out over here also, this side of the 110. Right now we're heading to another structure fire. This time it's a confirmed, well, the Cecil Hotel was a structure fire response and it was confirmed as well, but it ended up being a contents fire. They thought that a scooter was on fire with a lithium battery, which would have been definitely a little more interesting. However, it was not. It was just a rubbish. But as we were leaving that, we heard this. This is a confirmed commercial building fire, originally reported at Normandy. and Slauson, and now it was corrected to an address on Slauson. Sounds like a row of commercials is what they were saying, with a motorcycle shop on fire, which is very sad. I mean, anytime we go to a fire, it's people losing their livelihood and something they've been working on for sometimes many, many years, if not generations. So something to always keep in mind. And again, same rules apply as a auto shop fire. We're going to be looking at oils and
do we have a Bravo and a Delta exposure, or is it a standalone?
Oils and all sorts of potential cleaners and things like that. Oh, can we get down here?
With a total of 2 buildings butted up next to each other. Give me 1 more minute. Right. Fire tag. I think we have a knockdown on small fire at the farthest bar.
Okay.
Hold off on work pressure for 1 second.
All right, they're calling a knockdown on the motorcycle shop.
Are you putting water on the fire, or have you found the fire itself? Yeah, Alpha from fire tag. I believe we have a knockdown. Hold off on forcible entry.
Okay. Alrighty, just like that.
From Alpha, Roger.
Easy peasy.
Just like that, we are out of here. Not a huge commercial.
Alpha from fire tag. I have nothing on my stick. Inside. Look at completely full fire at the front of the structure, then we have a knockdown.
There we go.
Yeah, fire tag from Alpha, Roger. Copy. I don't see any more active fire in there. Rube,
Cool.
you copy that?
You know, we were talking about it earlier because it is, you look at the conditions out here, I mean, you can see the intersection. Can you see it on the camera? I'm assuming it's coming out. Extremely foggy, fog layer down to about almost to the ground. We have, you can see how it burns off in the last 10, 20 feet.
Our command post is going to be on Flossin.
Let's get out of the BC's way here.
We have staging Flossin across the Normandy.
But yeah, it's the conditions tonight are very good for a structure fire. Absolutely.
Copy your size up, and you're now known as Flossin.
And that's why when we hear a fire on a night like tonight, where you look up at the streetlights and you see nothing but fog, airships down due to weather, like Tay was mentioning before she started rolling. She had a great point. That fire was either going to be legitimate or it was going to be somebody reporting flames in the fog, which sometimes is people seeing streetlights that are the orange, warmer color temperature. They see that and they go, oh, it must be on fire, and they call, which they're being proactive, and they're, calling LAFD and saying, hey, I think there's a fire, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. I would think we agree with that. But you never know in the fog. And nights like tonight, we definitely get some pretty serious fires in the fog. At least I've had a bunch in my career, so always keep that in mind. Now that we're clear of that, we have another call pending on our board here. We have a report of a shooting, 709. Correction. We have a shooting at 79th. Let's just put it at like 79th and Hoover. Not a great area if you're familiar with LA. It's gotten better through the years, though. I will say when I started back in, which feels like forever, 2009, 2008, feels like such a lifetime ago. It was really bad, really, really bad. Shootings, like tons of shootings every night. Now things have mellowed out quite a bit, and it's not quite as bad, but it is starting to pick up a little bit. But either way, we do have a reported shooting. It sounded like it was confirmed, and either way, we need to swing by, take a look, and we'll pick up when we get to that location. Alrighty, we're in the area. We've checked out. Ooh, is that a Datsun? What is that? The blue car. Is that a Datsun Z?
Is it?
Old Datsun? Look at that. Yo. Project car time. Is it? What are you?
I'll give him $3 for it right now.
Looks like a Datsun. I don't know. What's up?
I'll give him $3 for it.
You want to start working on that? That's what we need. Another project. I need like 5 more projects. All right. We're in the area, 95th and Wall. LAPD's got a perimeter down. Actually, this is San Pedro right here. So they've got a perimeter down San Pedro. They're asking for an airship, even though it's very much fogged in over here. They have a shooting suspect at that location. Gabe heard an update. We didn't hear it. Radios were cutting in and out. There was an update. Our victim was shot in the leg, and they transported, and they have a possible suspect down there, but we don't have transport. He is not in critical condition. He's, well, let me back that up. I'm not a doctor. we always have to reiterate, not a doctor. We never know, right? Ooh, is that a fire? I think we might have a fire right here. Oh, it's a tree. It looked like a loom. I know, the fog is playing tricks. Sorry. That looked like a damn fire going up there. I was like, let's go. Gabe has an actual shooting over in East LA right now, but wait till 0 dark 15. Thank you. Not being a medical professional, even the guys in the ambulance, first responders, they don't even know when they're dealing with a shooting victim if they're going to make it or not. Most times, if it's or sometimes I should say, most times it's pretty clear. Not a lot of bleeding and stuff like that, but internally you're not sure what's going on. You get shot in the leg, you have an internal bleed from oral artery situation going on. If anybody's seen Black Hawk Down, they have a crazy example of what that situation looks like, really intense, and you can bleed internally, and the person might be sitting up and talking and they seem like everything's going fine. Next thing you know, we find out they passed away. So as of right now, they're not holding a crime scene over there, which leads us to believe that they did check with the hospital. Hospital said, this guy's gonna make it. And at that point, they're not gonna hold that as a crime scene. They do have a possible suspect though. They're gonna continue to go after that guy. However, they're not gonna keep it as a crime scene. It then loses its, and I have to be, everybody gets on me, not everybody, but sometimes people go, I think that's a news story. When I say something isn't a news story for us, it's because of the market, it's because of the threshold, right? It has nothing to do with our personal opinion of whether or not something is interesting, whether or not it deserves attention. It comes down to, there's only so many stories we can cover in a night. Where does our focus need to be? Where does our focus need to be directed toward? Where do we need to be focusing our energy and our resources? Because again, even with us and all the guys, there's only a certain number of stories we can cover. And when we get stuck on an incident, we're tying ourselves up and dedicating those resources to that. So there's 536, you copy, no evidence of shooting. So when we hear something that's not quite to the threshold, of course, we still have empathy for that guy. My heart bleeds for these people that are going through this stuff that we see. You have to pick and choose what we can focus on. That's really all it comes down to. It's not even up to us. It's up to the market. It's up to the city of Los Angeles. It's up to our clients. There's tons of factors that go into it. But if you ever hear on Code20, if we say something is not newsworthy, it's in regards to the threshold for the market, where if you were to take that story, let's take the fast track out of here. If you were to take that same incident and bring it to another market that's maybe like below top 40, top 50, then yeah, that's a news story, 100%. It will play in that market. Clients would be interested. Here in Los Angeles, the threshold is much higher, as you can tell by the instance we go to. So I'll leave it at that. We will be on to the next one. All right, we're rolling up into Hollywood right now. We have a working structure fire. It sounds like an abandoned two-story apartment. They have fire showing out of one unit, they were saying. And again, we just talked about it earlier. The type of atmosphere and the conditions that we have today are extremely conducive for a fire. We want to go over here. Yeah, we're gonna back in over here because I don't want to get stuck.
Agent 41, Task Force 27, coming on scene.
Let's get it.
72 is available. You can release the movement if available.
God, they're fast. 2-story apartment, fire through the roof, self-ventilating by the time we got over here. LA City, as always, with a super quick handle on this. Not seeing any victims as of right now, but on vacant building fires like this, a lot of times you can end up with a situation where there's squatters inside. There could be a victim, not 100% sure. We're gonna sit tight for a minute because I think they did request a second paramedic RA. So we're gonna see if we do actually have a victim, but as of right now, it looks like they got a knockdown on this 2-story. Doesn't appear that we have any victims yet, but we'll double check on that. And vacant building in Hollywood, kind of weird, right? Normally, you don't normally see that. Usually this area is very, very highly dense with rentals. So we'll get a wider perspective and see if we can find any victims or anything and monitor the radios and see if anything comes up. So just a quick update, we had a firefighter while I was out getting some more shots. There was a possible suspect over there. Guy was totally naked. LAPD was dealing with him. While I was doing that, a firefighter was doing mop-up on the 2nd story and fell through the floor into the 1st story. He looks like he's in good spirits. He's standing, talking with the guys. Looks like he's okay, but they're still going to check him out, do vitals, all of that, and they might transport. We'll see, but. Yeah, super, super, super scary stuff. So we're gonna stand by until we see what they end up doing with them. So right now behind me, LA City Fire clearly has a knockdown on this vacant apartment building fire. We thought we were done with it, got back in the vehicle, heard 2 radio communications that were really important on this one. First one being a firefighter injured. We had a firefighter actually fall through the 2nd story floor to the 1st floor. He was, I would say, suffering from minor injuries. They had to convince him to go to the hospital. Probably one of the toughest dudes I've seen in a long time. Guy literally fell through a floor wearing a full interior fire attack uniform, like the guys are wearing around me right now. You can see how bulky, how heavy that gear is, along with his breathing apparatus and any hand tools I'm sure he had. Guy went right through the floor, covered in debris, came out, high-fiving guys. They had to convince him to go to the hospital. I'm glad he did. Obviously a good thing to get checked out, but one of the toughest guys I've seen in a very long time. That's number 1. Number two, LAPD is over my left shoulder, your right, looking at the suspect slash possible victim. We'll know by the time this airs if the guy was in fact the suspect on this fire, but 3 LAPD officers here right now. I think they're waiting on additional officers to go hands-on with this guy and take him into custody. He was naked when he came out, completely nude. LAFD gave him a blanket. He wrapped himself in that. He's currently on the ground right now, wrapped in that blanket. Again, there's 3 LAPD officers here, 1 sergeant, looks like a P2, P3, and then another officer with them out of Hollywood Division, I'm assuming. And they're going to be taking him into custody at some point. That's what we're waiting on. You can see those officers behind me. Again, my assumption right now, just because they're staring at him, he's on the ground, he's in the blanket, he's not trying to get away, he's just kind of laying there. Not sure if it's, again, that's why I don't want to say 100% it's the guy. LAFD said we have a suspect over here. LAPD's got him, or they're with him, I should say. That's what they're saying, but again, all of that has to get confirmed, and that's why we follow up, and you can find out more about that information on the stories when we're following up at KNN.NEWS Under Publication. You can see all of the stories in their totality. But as of right now, we have another gurney coming over. That might be what they're waiting for. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. We got to talk to some people, find out what this guy's deal is. If we can't get the information here, we'll have to get it later. So, I don't know. Coming out of a vacant building naked, there's some reason that they think he's the suspect. Maybe some type of incendiary tools or devices. Who knows? They're looking at, right now, LAPD, they're putting gloves on their hands. They just gave some clothes to our suspect. And it looks like the property manager or owner is with Arson right now, and he's showing him some cell phone footage, which I'm assuming shows our nude suspect doing something nefarious. But it's going to be their call here in a second. Looks like our suspect is standing and might be trying to go somewhere. Looks like they're talking to him right now and getting his side of the story. I'm not sure what is being said, of course. There's too much noise from the ambient fire trucks, but this is why it's important to always follow up and determine if the person in question is actually a suspect or potentially a victim. If he's not wearing any clothes and he's squatting and living in there and he's just a victim, then that's it, he's a victim. But if they have evidence to support the fact that he lit the fire and caused a firefighter injury, then that's going to be a whole different story. He's looking pretty sleepy for an arsonist, so I don't know. FD had him for it. PD came over, they kept him from going anywhere. Arson looked at looked like security cam footage. They're talking to him right now. We'll see if they cross the shrubs and take him, but right now he's yawning. He seems pretty out of it. It's a wobbler. Arson came over and talked to him. I don't think he's good for it. No. I got the transport on the firefighter? Yeah, he was badass, bro. He went through the frickin' first story, second story, cool as shit. He was like high-fiving guys, covered in debris and stuff. Let me ask Arson really quick. Hey, boss. Zach with Key News.
Hey, Zach.
He's not good for it?
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I don't want to put him on TV if he's not. No, I heard FD's comms saying he was good for it. I was in the back and I never saw him.
No.
Not until I came to the front, so I didn't have eyes on. But
right now, it's still all, we're trying to figure it all out.
I won't put him on TV then.
Yeah, I don't know yet. If I do arrest him, then you'll see us put him in custody and take him away.
We'll follow up with Eric Scott. I'm out here in like 10 minutes, so.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, just spoke with Arson. They're not 100% on it. We got to kind of send in what we have, so we're kind of in a hard spot right now, but we'll send it in and then we'll check back in.
All right.
It's Captain Cody Weyereder, C-O-D-Y-W-E-I-R-E-T-E-R, spokesperson for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. So just after 2 o'clock Tuesday morning, the Los Angeles City Fire Department responded to the 7766 Hollywood Boulevard for a reported structure fire. Now, upon arrival, firefighters found a 2-story boarded up vacant Center Hall apartment complex with heavy fire swirling to the rear of the building, immediately exposing the apartment building next door. Firefighters immediately started to deploy clotheslines, drawn back by the massive amount of heat and the amount of collapse already sustained in the previous burn area. As mentioned, we have had fires here in the past, so it was a danger to firefighters immediately and starting to begin the clotheslines and actually having that ventilation being conducted. So initially we were in a defensive posture, meaning we had to attack the fire from the outside and then start to make our way inside. During which time we did sustain 1 firefighter injury, non-life-threatening. We had a firefighter fall through the floor that was conducting a primary search to see if we had any victims inside. Fortunately, that search did come up negative. We did not have any victims or civilian injuries here on site today. In just less than 30 minutes, 35 firefighters were able to knock down the flames. At this time, the fire is still under active investigation from our arson counterterrorism section, which are going to remain on scene and start to investigate really what the circumstances were surrounding this fire, interviewing any witnesses that were here on site, and also kind of to determine if we had any video surveillance that might have been taken. So as you can see behind me, the 2-story garden-style apartment, it's actually a vacant building, boarded up, meaning they had plywood already on the windows, so firefighters had forcible entry issues to get inside of those and be able to start deploying hose lines and water onto the fire itself. Upon arrival, firefighters did not find any civilians inside. However, we do conduct a full search of the actual building, the first, second, and the basement area to ensure that we did not have any victims.
The suspect that's potentially involved in the fire, we spoke with Arson. They're not 100% on it. Can you comment on it at all, or no? Okay.
No, I know that's my scapegoat normally.
Got it. Just name and spelling, and I think we're...
Sure. Yeah, it's Captain Cody Weyereder, C-O-D-Y-W-E-I-R-E-T-E-R, Public Information Officer of the Los Angeles City Fire Department.
Kevin, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, as always.
Hopefully that worked out.
Were you in the firefight on this?
Yeah, no, the second truck.
Oh, no.
The first truck on scene.
I was in the middle on the side there. It was going pretty heavy. That was pretty crazy.
No.
He was a tough son of a bitch, dude. That guy was tough as hell. He did not want to go to the hospital at all. I was shocked. Alrighty, we just heard from LAFD Captain Weyereder, who actually was on 27s, weirdly enough, which is one of the first fire companies that responded to this fire. Normally, he is the PIO for LAFD, or one of the PIOs for LAFD, so really cool to have a captain here that knows how to talk to the press. I really, really cannot tell you how incredible that is. Either way, Captain gave us a great interview, told us what was going on. Still not a lot of information as far as whether that suspect is our suspect. We're hearing conflicting reports that either he was asleep in the building at the time of the fire, wrong place, right time, I guess, wrong time, however you want to look at it, but LAPD is still babysitting him. He's getting up, he's going crazy at the cops, so there's probably a mental health issue there as well. LAFD Arson is here. They're walking around doing their investigation. We have not heard a definitive yet on whether or not this guy actually set the fire. There's a ton of cameras around here for a vacant building. I'm shocked. Maybe they're planning to tear it down or rebuild it or what have you, but there's a lot of cameras. Hopefully they're able to get some evidence and figure out whether this guy actually did start the fire or not. Either way, we are good on this one. You'll know, actually, he'll, if he's the suspect or not, whether or not Alex blurs him out. If he's not blurred, he's probably the suspect. If he is, then poor guy was probably asleep in the building. Either way, as always, you can follow up on KNN.NEWS Under Publication and see stories just like this one with all of the information at the end when the normal PIOs are awake. Either way, we're gonna be on to the next one. Gabe had one of the craziest, not one of the, I don't know, it's hard. we always get into this and we go, it's one of the craziest fires. It's one of the craziest, whatever the incident is. Everything's relative, right? You have something like the Da Vinci fire, which is just, I mean, probably fire of the decade, right? You have commercial fires under construction, which usually burn really hot, really intense, and very fast. They burn themselves out very quickly. Gabe had a fire, I'm seeing a cable here. Gabe had a fire, Chinatown major emergency commercial fire, which he covered on the 13th. I will post a link to this, of course, so you guys can take a look at it. But just a wild fire. And I guess the building had been abandoned for a while and was under construction in the framing stage, right? So in the framing stage, abandoned, crazy visuals. I mean, Gabe was sweating on this, I guarantee it. And he did get a partial collapse on tape, which, I mean, looks nuts. Interestingly enough, it lit the apartment on fire to the sides of this building. I'm not sure if it was east or west, north or south, or what the orientation was, but I mean, power lines down, all sorts of insanity. He's got a part 1 and a part 2 on it, so quite a bit of video. And this was burning for a while because it did affect the building next to it. So there's an apartment building, they had to evacuate. LAPD was there helping LAFD with the evacuations, doing an amazing job getting these guys, getting all the residents out of the building. I'm looking at it right. Oh, speak of the devil. There he is. Hey. Hey.
Squeak, squeak.
Yeah, you're squeaking a little. I was just talking about your fire with Tay. I summoned you. I said Gabe 3 times, just like Beetlejuice, and you appear. The Chinatown fire collapses, power lines down. I mean, under construction. Was it like it was in the framing stage, abandoned, and then somebody lit it?
Fire abandoned.
Give us the rundown. Tell us what's up. I need to. Here. And I'll turn on the lights. So, I should have my light on.
Need the touch?
Make sure your audio is working too. Is your audio on? Check the pack. Is it red? Make sure. Oh, good. He was muted. Maybe we should leave Gabe muted. That might be a better.
No, I'm not.
Oh, all right. Taste says better. All right. The Chinatown fire. What I'm looking at the footage on it. It's nuts. I mean, completely nuts. Give us the backstory and then how you got there and what you were dealing with.
Well, I got the call, and there was a structure fire in Chinatown. I'm like, fire in Chinatown at almost 4, that's going to be a good one. Get on the freeway right here. As soon as I clear the buildings, I could see north, just a massive loom up. Thought it might have been like a couple of cars, and then as I'm passing Hill, because I had to exit that Stadium Way, I just see the whole block on fire.
Jeez. It looks like it. The video is just crazy intense. I told Alex, I mentioned you have a part 1 and a part 2. The visuals are wild on it. I think we've already seen a few of them, but tell Alex the magic words.
Alex, please roll the tape.
Oh, that was very nice. That was really nice. Crazy footage, man. I'm glad. No injuries on it, or no, there were injuries.
There were a couple of injuries. We couldn't find the victims. It was just so chaotic down there.
How many victims?
I don't remember. I think they only said 10 people were displaced.
10 displaced, but I remember there's one in critical, right? There was so serious injuries then. Yeah.
But it wasn't just the building under construction. The fire had spread to, I think, 2 other buildings. So I think that whole block was technically on fire.
Got it. And I had mentioned east and west. I wasn't sure on the orientation. Was it north-south for the buildings affected?
It was at an angle, so...
Got it.
West.
Okay, but the buildings adjacent to the fire were affected.
The building to the east and to the south.
So looking at the front where you had the collapse shot from, if we're calling that the Alpha side, it'd be the Bravo and the Delta sides, right? Okay, so nothing behind it affected though.
No.
Okay, crazy stuff, man.
And it's like the base of the basement floors of the adjacent building was also.
And this was abandoned. This was like an abandoned thing. They had tried to build it, ran out of money. Squatters moved in. Yeah. All right, we see that time and time again. You guys have seen it here if you've been following us for any amount of time. I think probably every other Friday we have an incident like that where there's an outside fire, a homeless encampment, a warming fire, especially in the winter. Summer, not every night, but in the winter it just starts getting really out of hand. And a lot of times you have these individuals living on the street outside of a commercial building, and they'll sit there living there, and they'll be passed out or under the influence of something, and then they have a fire that's unattended, gets out of control. That fire, what is it?
Engine 33, rescue 857, rescue 266, immediate dispatch unconscious, 1201, West 65th place.
That's weird for an unconscious.
Probably.
Heavy, yeah. With My 500-Pound Life, or what's the show? What's the show you watch? My 600-Pound Life. Yeah, sorry.
At least you didn't have a bariatric ambulance.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know. Like I was saying, they're out living in front of these commercial buildings, and a lot of times we see either a rubbish pile or the homeless encampments on fire, and they'll get up into the eaves of the building, or if there's a roll-up door, they'll get into the connection between the roll-up door and the inside of the building. The heat makes its way in there, starts lighting the inside of that building, especially on a 2-story. Imagine you've got that heat going up into like a drop-down ceiling or whatever materials are packed into there, and we'll see these very large commercial fires, and a lot of times they're started in that way. With the situation in Chinatown that Gabe had, building under construction, developer runs out of money, legal problems, whatever their issues are. Next, right, like the graffiti tower, exactly. And you have a situation like that under construction in the framing stage, and then you have squatters move in, the fire gets out of control. They're in there running, who knows, electrical lines.
It's just a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
Exactly, Gabe's right. And imagine they've got hot plates, they're trying to cook their food. They've got power lines I'm sure they're tapping into. Their wiring is not up to code, of course. These guys are using electrical tape.
There's crimped extension cords.
Right, crimped extension cords, stuff like that. So when you have that go on, like Gabe said, it's only a matter of time, and that's an example of a situation like that.
It was just really hot on the west side. I was on the sidewalk, but there was just like a hard, like an invisible hard line of heat.
Oh, I'm sure.
Past it.
Yep, you get on fires like that, especially in the framing stage. Imagine like just a bonfire, right? You've got like kindling set up, and because there's so much surface area to burn that's exposed, it burns super heat, and those 2x4s will literally just make them, the adjacent one, combust almost immediately just because of the ambient heat.
That's why, if you notice, I shot it just from kind of one angle, because if I went any further past that, it was just too hot.
Yeah, it gets too hot. The Da Vinci fire was like that. On the freeway, I could only go so far southbound on the 110, and I literally couldn't walk because I'm like...
Yeah, at that point, you're actually risking getting burned.
Oh, 100%. You can get first-degree radiation burns, basically, from the heat of a lot of these fires. But no, when we're out there on these incidents, on these calls, looking at Gabe's footage, I can just looking at it, because we've been to so many fires, you can almost feel it through the screen. It's unbelievably intense. So moving on from the Chinatown thing, you just cleared off of a stabbing call. Beverly and Reno. Was it actually 3 victims, or give us the rundown?
Transport 32, overdose 97.
What do we got on it?
I'm not sure. It looks like it might have been like a party or a get-together. There were a couple of witnesses outside talking to police. It's not clear if the suspect was known to them or it was just a rando. They saw. I kind of overheard one of the witnesses saying police that the guy was like kind of like hyped up or whatever. So they might have been outside. It's Westlake. A transient walks by.
Stabbings are really personal though, right? Shootings can be indiscriminate sometimes, but stabbing is very personal. And for 3 people to get stabbed, you got to imagine alcohol's involved or something.
Most of them appeared minor. I mean, they were superficial. Like on the shoulder. I think the guy was just like slashing.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the wounds. They're straight cuts.
And I think all 3 victims were able to walk themselves to the RA or at least onto the green.
That's good. Alrighty. Oh, you want to go look at the footage?
Yeah, Alex, please roll the tape.
He says please now. I like it. That's good. What did you say before? Roll the tape? Roll. Ugh.